Hi, I'm back, and I'm gonna still continue on with the chapter by what is this page? I'm still gonna continue with the chapter about what is it called? About why did I do that? And it's a lot longer than I thought, so I'm definitely gonna make it 2 parts. So yeah, so we're just gonna continue on, and this is gonna be 2-part video to finish up the chapter. So, as I was talking about forgiveness, so this next point is reframing and forgiveness. So first, I'm going to start with a question. Have you ever excused someone but still felt angry later on? Who has? So, have you ever excused someone but still felt angry afterward? It's a natural feeling, or a natural feel anger when someone does something hurtful to us. When someone hurts us, it's easy to replay the hurtful event in our mind, and we grow angrier with every repetition. Soon it becomes difficult not to replay it. So we need to not do that in our mind, especially if somebody hurts you. You don't need to replay that in your mind all the time, like you rewind. Like you gotta watching a movie and you're just rewinding that person that insulted you over and over. You're replaying that scene in your mind all the time. You're rewinding it, listening to it all the time. Anger practicing regularly can strengthen anger path in the brain and constantly shape your character into an angry one. So you constantly, maybe by replaying that in your mind, that person that hurt you, you're going to make a pathway in your brain to shape your character into an angry person. So along with growing stronger, the anger starts to link with neurons associated with the offender. So now, because you replay that thing in your mind over and over, your pathways in your brain has made you an angry one. So now you associate that person that he offended you all the time, or she. So the more we think about the person who offended us, the angrier we feel. That's true. The more you think about whatever it is, the more you're going to feel it. So it's like having a brain knot that ties the offender to our anger. So now we're tying anger with the offender. Well, we need to not do that. Our anger should not be tied to the offender. We need to separate those 2 things or cut it loose. Our anger, like I said previously, is our own responsibility. It is not that person's fault that you reacted angrily and did something back. So, and no longer we let that knot live inside our brain. The stronger and the tighter the knot becomes. So in this way, we see how anger makes forgiveness a difficult and complicated undertaking. So you're not going to forgive that person because why? Because you have anger. So now it's making it too difficult and complicated to you to try to forgive that person. So also anger in one of itself is necessarily not a wrong or bad thing. So anger is not necessarily wrong or bad. So Ephesians 4:6-25, to be angry but not sin. In John chapter 2, Jesus became so angry with people selling livestock in exchange for money inside the temple, he flipped over the tables and drove them out with a whip. So at the right place, at the right time, for the right reasons and the right amount, reveals what is important to us. And it can be a powerful force that encourages us into action. So like in chapter 2, forgiveness is a journey. Okay, maybe this is a different chapter. I'm not sure. So forgiveness is a journey if we want to move through the journey quickly and efficiently. Then we must not only train our forgiveness neurons, but we must also build strong nerves for those neurons. So we do this by pausing, constantly reminding ourselves of the importance of forgiveness, and by practicing it. We must unlink the pathway in our brain connecting our anger. So like I said, we gotta unlink, we gotta cut, we gotta separate that pathway that is connecting our brain with anger to the offender. So we don't remind ourselves all the time. Instead, we need to choose forgiveness to them. We also need to have positive emotions that help disappear the anger in our brain, so the knot, and replace it with a healthier, more positive association. So prayer can help us forge new brain associations with people. Matthew 5:4 says, "Pray for those who persecute you." So not God help that no good person, so as the latter would only reinforce our anger. So positive prayer builds new links, and the anger will that's my phone. Okay, I got it. Anger will lessen over time. So another technique to forgive someone with who you are upset with is to simply imagine yourself forgiving them. What would it look like? What would you say? Think about the scenario and imagine it again, and then simply practice it so it can be effective in a fake it till you make it kind of way. So by visualizing or getting a mental picture of the act of forgiveness in your mind, you created the brain to make a new pathway that slowly transforms imaged forgiveness into true forgiveness. So the next point here is culture shock. Another important aspect to understand about neutral links is that they often help us find a way to the society in which we live, or navigate a way to society in which we live. They are explanation or something behind our automated ways of life and responses, like handshakes or someone says hello. Our brain knows that we're supposed to say hello in return. So a person extends our hand and we know that we're supposed to shake it, stuff like that. But however, most of us are not awake enough in our culture to the expectations of others. So when things don't go according to what our brain expects, we feel uncomfortable, as if someone's gone off the script. So unexpected events in our brain form its regular, well-traveled neuron roads into uncharted territory. So let's see. Let's see. Stuff. So to overcome, we must first realize the culture shock is brain shock. So by understanding that discomfort is normal and to be expected, we can sit in the discomfort and wait for our brain to rewire itself instead of running away from the job and whatever negative, uneasy feelings it may bring. So the rewire can sometimes take a while, but there is calm after the storm. Let's see. So culture shock isn't limited to foreign travel. So anyone making a lifestyle change can experience culture shock. So example, becoming sober, stuff like that. This culture shock, reinforcing the behaviors of people, encouraging the drug use, stuff like that. Let's see. So also, It's common to experience culture shock when beginning a faith journey. Many of us express specific frustrations with the culture shock of church. They don't have a clue or a hint as to what is going on during service. So we're just talking about basically the culture in the church, how it is, and how people perceive it, I guess. So we must prepare for culture shock in whatever lifestyle change we make. We must embark in our journey of change while remaining fully aware of what we need to learn. So here's some points advocating positive impact. So 2 Corinthians 2:15, which says a pleasing smell of Christ. So he arranged for people to place freshly cooked bacon near the air vents during the sermon. So basically, food makes an odor that goes through the sanctuary. So the pastor related to me that this sermon is the most remembered among his basically preachers. I don't know. So basically, they're just talking about the church, stuff like that. Just gonna skip some of this stuff. Just the main stuff that I want to talk about. I might skip some of the chapters, some of the things. So we can initially develop hearts of service by reframing negative events as valuable learning experiences. So that's about it, I think. So basically, teaching mercy in the face of negativity can be an imperative to cultivate even greater compassion in the future. Yeah. So the power of personal testimonies. So another way our brain not to our advantage is to make good ones, healthy ones. And we do that by sharing our testimony. So how do you make healthy others is by sharing your testimony. So the devil is overcome by people's testimony. When others share the ways in which God has provided for them, we're able to draw parallels to our own lives. Their hope becomes our hope. Their testimonies and breakthroughs can carry us through our own spots. When God seems distant. So we got to share our testimony. It's very important because you can be the one that can give hope to somebody who doesn't have hope. Giving your testimony, you could be the one that helps somebody carry through their struggle. So when others share the ways in which God has provided for them, we are able to draw parallels to our own lives. So they can become hope when they don't have it, or they can have hope when they feel there is none. So God commanded people to create memorials to remember certain events. In Genesis 10:22, Jacob built a pillar in Bethel to commemorate a powerful vision God had given him. This pillar served as both physical and visual reminder of God's presence to him, increasing faith in the faith for everyone who laid his eyes on the memorial. So also 1 Samuel 7:12, how God gave Israel a miraculous victory over their neighboring enemies and the Philistines. In remembrance of God's intervention, Samuel placed a large stone. So we can create memorials of our own. One simple memorial is to write a list of prayers, leaving space to record how and when God serves them. All right, almost done. Almost. Blah, blah, blah. So the next one is blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. All right. So the next point here is counseling, basically advice or support. So if we experience trauma, the event and the negative emotion associated with it became linked in our brain. So whenever we remember the events with the other person, we often trigger the negative emotions all over again because of this natural link. And as many of us know, the pain of traumatic experiences and emotions can be deliberately and discouraging, leading us to believe we might never heal from them. So, for example, counseling provides a safe, caring atmosphere for relating stories of trauma. So people share trauma and their stories of trauma. It can be difficult, unpleasant, or uncomfortable to share your trauma, but it gets easier. Once you share the trauma, it gets easier. So to summarize the chapter, neurons that wire together, creating links and knots in our brain, whatever we think. If we have a couple of scary run-ins with spiders, we might wire fear with bugs. Or what else? So associate those with bugs. So we can apply the same wiring mechanic to serious social issues like race. If someone has a negative experience with a person of a different race with a negative narrative or stereotypes about people of that race, then they risk linking a person's skin color with prejudicial beliefs and causing racism. And while our society has a long way to go in combating racism, we can combat dangerous beliefs in our own thought life by seeking out narratives and experiences that challenge the negative ones. So pursue relationships with people who offer new and different perspective that enables you to rewire new brain links. So develop natural links that work positive for you. So take note of all the potential triggers. Does a certain person trigger your anger? Are you programmed to buy a pack of cigarettes? So you gotta destroy that destructive link by forging new ones. And forging new links often requires teaching new emotions. Emotional training involves practicing positive thoughts. Always gotta practice positive thoughts. All day, every day. Positive thoughts. With a support system of good people or good friends that will encourage you in putting yourself in situations that cause specific feelings so that you can train your responses into habits. You can also train your emotions by practicing emotional reframing. So you might be able to control your initial feeling, but can you control how you process and react to them? Therefore, change them. So putting yourself in someone else's shoes to practice emotional reframing is helpful. So instead of judging people, allow yourself to explore the reason behind a person's choice and behavior. So before you judge somebody, think about what is the reason behind their choice. And make sure that you are merciful and forgiving. So life change will involve culture shock. And you're bound to make mistakes and missteps. Whenever you're outside, it is uncomfortable, yes. But you can prepare for it by establishing support systems. That's very important in life. You need to have very good support systems, because without very good support systems, how are you going to build? So you can utilize the power of natural linking to achieve great things in your culture and the world around you. So being supportive with your friends, emotions and memories with acts of service, and stuff like that. So basically that's about it. And yep, I'm just gonna do some reflecting on these questions, I guess, that they have. So to reflect and to summarize, or to reflect and to close the chapter. So the first thing it says, imagine you are a robot, or imagine you are a machine. What programs run without any control as a part of your software? What begins the running of those programs? Number 2, you can skip that. It's just basically draw a line. So basically, it's just what concepts are you missing? What characteristics from your own parents connect to your ideal of God? Number 3, identify an area in which you are struggling with change. How might culture shock play a role in your struggle? Number 4, how can you help others overcome when you attend your church with new believers and unbelievers? Number 5, identify at least one person who you are struggling to forgive. What small steps can you take to forgive them? And last one, recall a time when God did something wonderful in your life. And that's it for this video. Like I said, I usually probably will not make 2 videos, but depending on the book, I might make 2 depending on how long the chapter is. It depends about how long it is. Like, I might make 2, I might make 1. It all depends on how long the chapter is. But that's about it. God is good, and I'm out.